What's up, guys? Welcome back. And today I'm just kind of doing like a little free flow video because I just have some stuff on my mind, and we're just gonna roll with it, okay? We're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with the natural flow. I know that's what everybody here wants to do anyways, right? Everybody wants to tap into that divine source energy so that we get those divine hits of intuition, right? That divine inspiration. And it's a beautiful thing. You know, I've been talking about the polar opposites of the feminine and the masculine. And the feminine is amazing. It is a beautiful, beautiful energy. And that's what we talk about when we talk about the flow, right? The masculine is also important as well. And so like anybody that's demonizing one or the other, I mentioned this in a previous video, you can be sure that they're a little bit lost. They really don't know the true fundamental, they don't have a very deep understanding of these concepts because, you know, when you're in the flow state and everything is just coming, you're getting those ideas. Maybe you're working on your art. Maybe you're working on business. Maybe you're in that social interaction with your SP, whatever it might be. You get those bursts of intuitions, and then you better freaking follow them, right? You better then take that decisive action, and that's where the yang energy comes in there. And sometimes you might need to get going. You know, Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, she talks about automatic writing every morning, right? As a way to get those creative juices flowing, you know. This could go for a lot of different things, right? You could be working on a song. You could be working on YouTube videos. You could be going out and about, like I said, socializing. But sometimes you need to force yourself to start in order for that creative flow to start happening, right? Sometimes the muse of inspiration, Vadim Zeland talks about this in the book, is waiting for you to take that decisive action. So anybody that's got on this very, very hard line, rigid, like, oh, you know, it has to only be this way, you know, they're missing some of the sauce here, right? They're missing some of the, you know, this is a recipe that we're making, right? It requires all these different ingredients. It's not just, okay, you know, you're gonna put this recipe together just by only getting this one ingredient. And the mix, it comes through experience. And when people talk about, you know, there's another guy on YouTube, legendary DJ, and it's funny watching his videos because he's like, his whole thing is like debunking all this Neville stuff because he's like, what you really need to do is embody it. And he comes from a alchemical perspective, like alchemy, and really embodying that version of yourself. It's like you're purifying yourself. You're purifying all the imperfections, all the weaknesses in your personality. And you could go so far as to say that being too out of balance one way or the other is a weakness, right? The most attractive men, the most attractive women that you find, they have a harmony of these two energies. And that's like that charisma that comes from them. Yes, they're in flow. However, they also possess that calm, possess that poise, and they know how to take decisive action when the time calls for it, right? They're not just going to be somebody that's completely governed by their emotions, completely reactive all the time, as they are also not going to be somebody that is so hardline and rigid all the time and not allowing things to take that flow. They're going to be somewhere in the middle. That's why I always use this reference as this scale, right? In the middle, we have that neutrality. We take action from a place of detachment, detached action, and that's when things can begin to flow to us. If I was to get on here and be like, this video has to be it, this is the video. Like this, if this video doesn't get 10,000 views or 100,000 views, then I'm done with YouTube, right? What kind of energy is that putting out? That's putting out that really attached energy, that really, you know, needy energy, which is going to be repulsive to anything good being reflected back. And again, you're always at the core of your results that you're getting. So any of these people that, when they talk about manifestation, but then on the other hand, they go into the relationship TikTok or the other thing, and they're like, it's all these person's fault. So again, whether that's men blaming women, whether that's women blaming men, it's like you really don't understand the core of these teachings because you're not really taking accountability. You're not really showing up in a way where you're accepting that the world is reflecting back the energy that you're bringing. And so anytime you cast all the blame outside yourself, it's like, you don't really get it, my guy or my girl. You're not really like, you spend all this time watching these surface level manifestation videos like, oh yeah, you are everything and you're a bad bitch or you're a king. But then again, you're coming out on the other side saying, oh yeah, it's all their fault. It's like, bruh, like you missed the whole entire, thing. Like you're really missing the whole game. So, again, I talk about like nuanced thinking. You want to be able to take two sides of an equation and apply it. Like, yeah, on the one hand, you know you're a person of value. You know that you're an amazing person. And on the one hand, yeah, you know, this person might have done some shit that was fucked up. But at the same time, you're contributing to this situation. You are also playing in this dance with this person. So if their behavior is fucked up, it also has something to do with you as well. There is no just them existing in a vacuum as fucked up in the relationship and you having nothing. Does this make sense, guys? I hope it makes sense. It's like you are in a relationship with this person. So they are reflecting what's going on with you as well. And they may actually go and get into a relationship with somebody else and you're like, I don't even recognize this person, right? Because they're in a different dynamic now with another person because they are also reflecting the energy of that person. And two things are true at once. And that's what I want you guys to understand, guys. Like it's so frustrating to me that the human mind is so caught up with making something black or white. It has to be this way or it has to be this way. The only true way that we become true masters of manifestations of ourselves, really mastering manifestation is mastering yourself. And so the only way to master yourself is to embrace the cognitive dissonance that multiple things can be true at once. That you can be perceiving some situation one way, and then again, there can be a whole nother perception of it, right? And then it's about moment to moment, adopting the frame, adopting the perception that is favorable to you, that is going to get you what you want, that is going to at least get you progress on the path there. So let's say, using the relationship example, you know, you're dealing with somebody, they're getting all disrespectful, things are going badly, poorly. Okay, you know, these are some things I want to look out for. You know, in the next person, you know, I noticed she did this or he did this or whatever it might be. You know, that's something that I really should pay more attention to next time. When I ask them to do something and they kind of give me that snarky type of attitude, you know, why am I dealing with that? If this person isn't showing me the respect or showing me the cooperation that I need going forward into a relationship with somebody, why am I even dealing with this person to begin with, right? That's one angle. The other angle is, yeah, why, and you know, that actually encompasses both right there, because that's like saying, yeah, you know, I value myself enough to know what I'm looking for, so this doesn't fit into the picture. And at the same time, I can also spot this type of behavior. Like next time I run into somebody like this, that gives me a lot of resistance, that's just giving me a lot of wishy-washy behavior. You know, I don't appreciate that, right? I want somebody who is actually showing me that they value what I'm bringing into this relationship rather than trying to play these weird games or whatever it might be. Well, you know, at this point in time, okay, maybe I don't have that many options right now. Maybe I don't have this. Maybe I'll just put them on the back burner. Or maybe I'll just decide, you know what, they're not rising to the standards of the people that I want around me. But either way, you're also looking at, okay, so because I was putting up with this, that led to more and more of this behavior, more and more of this down the line. Because I got into an argument with this person, rather than saying, hey, look, you know, I notice you do this. I notice this behavior, and you know, that's not cool with me. So if this happens again, I'm just letting you know, this is something that I'm not going to accept, right? So they do that. So then you pull back, you pull away from the situation because you let them know with your actions and your words that it is not something that you're going to tolerate. But you keep arguing with them and keep going back and forth. It's on some level, it's showing that you are willing to put up with that because you're getting into this tit for tat kind of debate with them. And when it shouldn't be up for debate, when they're actively disrespecting you, when they're actively going against your wishes knowingly, that's not something that, like I said, right? It's about also that self-concept, that self-respect that say, hey, look, you know, okay, this isn't working out with this person. There's other fish in the sea, right? It's not always about getting this person to conform. It's such a weird thing going on in this community, guys. It's like, why would I try to get this person to conform when all they keep showing me is like all these signs that they're not a good person for me. They're not a good fit. They're actively causing havoc in their own lives and the lives of others. This person is like a wrecking ball that everywhere that they go, they're causing damage. Why are you trying to get this person to conform? I mentioned in the previous video, you've got this poisonous snake in your bed and you're trying to get them to conform to not be poisonous or to not, like a boa constrictor just gonna grab you at night, right? You see, you know, you hear these weird stories of these like women that will go to sleep with a snake and then they wake up and it's, you know, it's, wish they wouldn't have done that, right? Wish you would have picked Wish you would have picked, why are you trying to make a grizzly bear into a teddy bear? Why are you trying to turn a bottle of poison into some kind of like aloe tea? Why don't you just go and buy the aloe tea instead of buying the bottle of poison? I'm sorry, guys. Like, this is just something that has just gotten so out of hand in this community. It's ridiculous to me. But, you know, again, this is where like the nuance and that ability to look at a situation and be like, hey, you know, this really isn't making sense. Let me apply some of that logic to this. Let me apply some of that yang energy that I keep getting told is the demon. Oh yeah, logic is the devil and logic is toxic, and you always just have to go and worship your feelings. Like, oh, please, feelings, please, just allow me to like worship at your feet. When the reality is that feelings are fleeting, thoughts are fleeting. All these teachings, all these spiritual teachings, none of them in Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, they all go into this where it's very clear that your feelings, and we had talked about intrusive thoughts as well, right? So intrusive thoughts and feelings and thoughts are a feedback loop, right? So you might have an intrusive thought, oh, you know, this person is saying something behind my back. This person's cheating on me. I had a dream about this person cheating on me. Okay, those are intrusive thoughts, right? Well, now what are they causing? They're causing these feelings. Is there any rationality behind that because you had a dream about this thing? Is there any rationality to you exploding on somebody because you had an intrusive thought? Not really. You know, there's been times in my life where I look back at my behavior and I'm just like, you know, I'm embarrassed because I acted on my feelings. I allowed myself to be governed by my feelings. So the more that you go into this black and white thing, oh, it has to be this way, it has to be this way, the more that you are missing out on a whole like spectrum of life that is available to somebody who is able to think and feel. They're feeling their emotions and they're also thinking and saying, okay, you know, is this rational? Is this type of response warranted for this situation? And the more that you don't do that, the more you run into risks of becoming one of these people, right? That is just your road rage. You're on the side of the road. You're screaming at people. You see people like this that are completely governed by their emotions, and it doesn't end well for these people. They're not a pleasure to be around. They're not a joy to be around. As a matter of fact, like I said, they end up being one of these examples of these people, right? That's wreaking havoc everywhere they go. So, you know, it's so important to be holistic, to not cut something off. Again, referencing the body. People are like, oh, you know, the 3D isn't real. It's like, dude, the 3D is real. As far as our human experience here, you can go to some higher level. Again, it's like that these on this gradient, right? All these things exist on a spectrum. So you want to be this this monk that doesn't interact with the 3D. You go off, you go to an ashram, and you never speak anymore, and you're just constantly in this pose all day long. Be my guest. But as long as you are interacting with the 3D, as long as you want to have a worldly life, you want to have relationships, you want to earn some money, you want to have a good family life, you want to pursue your passions, interact with people, you're going to be having to acknowledge the 3D. Answer me this, right? Any of these people that say the 3D isn't real and, you know, it's all just doesn't matter, your body doesn't matter, why aren't they like breatharians, right? Why don't they just stop eating? Why don't they just stop sleeping? As a matter of fact, why aren't they floating around because the 3D isn't real, right? And when you really think about it, just even for a second, that's where like all the logic goes out the window and you're just like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, bro. Because what you're saying makes no sense. You're telling me that the laws of our physical reality, laws of physics, any of these things, okay, yeah, you know, there may be aliens that possess anti-gravity technology. There may be actually people that are able to do these things. I'm not even denying that. But if you are not a breatharian, if you are not one of these people that is just levitating in the clouds, you have no business telling people about this. You have no business coming at people and telling you, hey, there is no 3D, 3D doesn't matter. Because I guarantee you eat just like everybody else. You take a shit just like everybody else. You walk instead of fly, just like every fucking buddy else. So where you have no business telling people that, oh, the laws of the universe, they don't exist. Sit the fuck down and actually tell somebody what is going to help them instead of living in a fantasy land. again, it goes back to our desire for the quick and easy fix. Oh, I just want to live in this fantasy land, right? I just want to live. I just want this person, this guru, to tell me that the 3D doesn't matter, and I don't have to ever do anything, and I'm already, all this stuff's gonna come to me. All I need to do is like watch their videos or buy their course, but I don't need to take any action. But at the same time, they're telling me to take action by buying their course, so it doesn't fucking make any sense. Man, I'm sorry, guys. If I'm offending you guys, good. Because like I said in a previous video, I want to treat you guys like my friend. I don't want to treat you like some mark that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just get one past this one. I'm gonna just pull the wool over their eyes real quick, sell them on some course which tells them they don't need to do anything, and tell them everything they want to hear. Yeah, you got it, bro. Yeah, you're a king, bro. It was all their fault. Because anybody that's doing that to you in real life, they're not really your friend. It's almost like they're really actually plotting on your downfall behind your back, because they're telling you, oh yeah, you're perfect. Oh yeah, that situation, that was all her fault. It was all his fault. Because anybody that's going to get you to reflect, reflect on you, reflect on your actions. Are you eating right? Are you taking the right steps in the direction of a healthy lifestyle? Or the person that sees you going to the bar every night, getting shit-faced drunk, getting blacked out, you're a mess, and they're like, oh yeah, you're a bad bitch. That's not your friend. And the same type of, for guys is, oh yeah, you're a king, bro. He's not your friend, because he's not telling you, he's not helping you rise up and elevate yourself and hold you to a higher level. My best guy friends that I've ever had are ones that tell me when I'm fucking up, and they're like, bruh, notice this, keep yourself, check yourself. They might not say it in such a harsh way. You don't have to say it in such a harsh type of way either, but like, let your friend know that, hey, look, maybe there's something that they can be doing to contribute to a better positive situation. Maybe if your friend's overweight, and maybe they're not meant to be your friend, then if they're going to cut you off because you told them, hey, one thing I've been doing lately, this is what I've been doing, this is my gym routine that I've been hitting up. Maybe they're not meant to be your friend, man, because they're not willing to actually take a look in the mirror and actually reflect upon who they are to get the results that they're actually getting in their life. So, all these things are something that you have to decide for yourself. Like I've said before in other videos, if you want progress, if you want, any of these athletes, anybody that achieves success, it's like they go and find a mentor who's going to tell them point out their sticking points, point out the errors in their thinking process, point out every single habit that's not helpful to getting them where they want to go, and pointing them in the direction and giving them specific advice, specific insight that will help them accomplish their goals. And that's what I'm talking about here on the channel. That's the type of coach that you want. If you want to work with me, you can you can email me down below. I also have my audiobook, and my book is available down below. And it is going to give you specific tactical advice, methods, techniques that all the other coaches are telling you don't need a technique. But like I said in the previous video, when I go and buy their products, if it's a coach that looks like he or she knows what she's talking about, I'm like, you know what? I rock with what they're saying. Even though they're saying some shit that I don't really agree with, I take the good with it, leave out the bad, and then I buy their product. And then when I'm going through their product, they've got techniques. And what do? I do the techniques. Like I mentioned in a previous one, I applied this guy's technique. He's very, been grown in popularity a lot over the past year. You may know who I'm talking about. Signed up for his membership, did his technique, got phenomenal results. Amazing results, because he looks like he knows what he's talking about, right? But again, I'm gonna take what I need from him, and I'm gonna discard the rest, because he's the type of person that's saying like, oh, you don't need a technique, but then he's got techniques in his membership. So what the fuck is that all about, my guy? Like, look, no hate, because I understand this is what people want to hear. People want to hear you don't need a technique. People want to hear you're a bad bitch, you're a king, blah, blah, blah. Instant fix, right? Instant dopamine hit. Yeah, I don't need to do anything, right? But that's the issue, that's just what I'm telling you guys, right? It's like you go then and you dive into their content, you dive into their material, and they've got techniques. And what do you know? Lo and behold, the techniques work. They work. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that if I hired a coach in any realm, could be dating, could be health, could be athletics, who would have thought that this person would, if they're a good coach, would actually have specific techniques that will get me results? Oh my God. It's like mind blown, right? That is the weird situation that we've fallen into in this weird stuff on this community, guys. This is stuff that we've always known. We've always known that throughout the ages. Even people that practice magic, right? You want to go as far back? I talked to Naya on the channel. She comes from a long line of witches or they practice magic. They have sigils, right? They do it in this type of way. How do you fucking learn how to do that? It's techniques. It's other witches that show you how to do this when it comes to manifesting, right? Anything you wanted to learn, you were a blacksmith, you were a carpenter, you were a farmer, you learned. There's, what do you know? There's a technique of how you have to till the soil. There's a technique for planting the seed. This is something that is not going to just change just because manifestation gurus came on the scene and decided to tell you that there's no such thing as a technique. This is something that has always been in existence and will always forever be in existence. Even when it comes to these manifestation practices, robotic affirming, yeah, there's techniques. What do you know? My book shows you exactly how to fucking do it. Visualization, yeah, what do you know? There's ways that you can make them more powerful. There's certain visualization techniques that you can use that will help you tap into that, where you really imprint your subconscious, you really imprint the 4D or the universe or whatever you want to call it, guys. It doesn't matter the language, but the fact remains there's ways to do things that will get you better results than other ways. Again, perfect practice makes perfect. You can go out, practice, but you don't know what you're doing. You're doing the wrong thing. You're tilling the soil the wrong way. Your corn's not growing in the field. Well, whose fault is that? You didn't practice the right technique. I hope that this hits home for you guys. I hope you guys get some value out of this, and I hope you guys get some confidence. Whatever teacher you are going to purchase from, it doesn't need to be me. You could go and buy the membership from the guy I talked about, but no, when you buy his membership and you go and you do his techniques, that's what's going to get you results. It's not from just listening to him telling you that there is no technique. I hope that clicks for you guys. I hope that makes sense. And I will see you guys in the next video.